So, coming from Ars Technica, T-Mobile moving tens of thousands of virtual machines off VMware amid lawsuit. T-Mobile wants Broadcom to keep supporting its VMware perpetual licenses. So, anyways, I've been talking a lot about VMware lately and the disaster about when Broadcom bought VMware. And the reason that I'm talking about this is I'm trying to foreshadow the disaster that we're going to see in the world of artificial intelligence. I get some snark in my comment section, and they're like, why is Eli talking about artificial intelligence when this is supposed to be an article about virtualization in VMware? And the reason is because I'm trying to use the VMware example to foreshadow what the hell is going to happen to your organization if you put OpenAI at the core of your systems. It's a bad idea. Don't do it. All right. So basically, what happened is VMware, you have never heard me snark about VMware. VMware, the product, I think the product is actually still supposed to be good. It's just way too expensive now. Anyways, VMware, amazing product, especially if you go back 15 years when virtualization was the big new thing. Going over to a virtual infrastructure, VMware was the king of that play. So you buy licenses. It allows you to turn all of your physical machines into virtual machines, and then basically once they're virtual machines, VMware is the infrastructure, the systems that you run all of those virtual machines on. The price point was good, so as long as you had a decently profitable business, it wasn't for the poor. To be clear, VMware wasn't for the poor, but you also didn't have to be a gangsta either in order to afford VMware. Like if you had a nice profitable business that required virtualization, the cost of VMware was quite acceptable, right? So it wasn't cheap, wasn't expensive, was actually a reasonable price. It was a reasonable price point for a very fucking good product, right? So a lot of companies, again, they went with VMware because why not go with VMware? Good price point, good product, whole nine yards. Broadcom comes in a number of years ago, buys VMware, and then they look at the market. And basically what they realize is that the virtualization market at that point in time was essentially saturated, right? Basically, the total addressable market, more or less, was saturated. Yes, could you get new customers going into the future? Yeah, probably, but come on, it's the 2020s, not the 2010s. You're probably not going to get a lot of new customers. So the trying to go for profit most likely isn't going to come from growth. And so what they then decide to do, since they had purchased VMware, is that they're just going to try to squeeze every dime possible out of the customers that they already have. And they know, since VMware is the core of people's infrastructures, so VMware is the software that the operating systems are literally running on, right? So there's something called Type 1, right? Type 1 hypervisors, bare metal hypervisors. Basically, this is like a operating system for the virtualization world. You install the Type 1 hypervisor. So this is a VMware product. You install this directly onto the bare metal servers. Then you create what are called instances of operating systems. So that these will be your servers, right? Your email server, your DHCP server, your DNS server, all those are instances. Basically, those end up being essentially like files, and then they run on the hypervisors. The cool thing with VMware, again, when you start scaling this out, is that you can have hundreds or thousands or tens of thousands of these bare metal hypervisors. And what the VMware software does is it's able to move all of these virtual machines around in order to give you the best performance and to deal with disaster recovery and basically all of that kind of stuff. So this, when I say this is the core of your infrastructure, I mean it's the motherfucking core. It is very difficult to be any more core than what VMware is. And so Broadcom knows, right? It's really hard to migrate off of that, even if you want to. And so let's just start jacking up the prices. And so they've started jacking up the prices on the customers they have. They know they're going to lose customers, but they don't care because they're going to charge the customers they have so much more money. And basically that is their way to try to get to profitability. I did a video talking about this before with Tesco. So Tesco is a company, I do believe in the United Kingdom, where they have what they had, like hundreds of thousands or 40, I don't know. They had lots and lots of virtual machines they're trying to migrate off. They were doing an emergency migration off of VMware. An emergency migration is a year and a half, 18 months, and that's the speed of an emergency, right? And so that's what we're kind of dealing with. And so what we look at here with T-Mobile is basically going through the exact same type of problem. T-Mobile is asking a New York court to rule that Broadcom was contractually obligated to continue supporting its VMware perpetual licenses. In its complaint, T-Mobile said it has tens of thousands of virtual machines using VMware software across approximately 303,000 CPU cores. It also said that it was migrating off VMware, but noted the time-consuming and technical challenges involved in migrating over 1,000 applications. And that's one of the big things to be thinking about, right? Migration sucks. Migration is the absolute worst thing you have to do in the technology world, right? The initial build up, the initial deployment, that's fun. That's exciting. Yesterday you had nothing. Today you have something. That is the kind of work that is just great for technology professionals because there's almost no downside to it. So that's really good. Upgrades, basically, it depends on the quality of your vendor. If you have good vendors that have good quality assurance, then upgrades can be a concerning time period, but hopefully it won't be too bad. Hopefully you chose good vendors, right? Because upgrades, you're upgrading the software, you might be upgrading the hardware. There should be a reasonable process for doing it. Like everything should, you should just be able to do what you're doing. But, it's a technology world, so sometimes, that's a little bit more frustration. Migration sucks. Migration just sucks. Donkey balls. Big, huge donkey balls. Because what migration is you have all of this data and you have all these systems and you have all these configurations and you have all of this institutional knowledge about how one type of systems work. And you have to move all of that to an entirely different systems, an entirely different stack. And you have users that are hitting your systems while you're doing the migration process. And it's just, yeah, it's just bad. Just bad. Bad. Have I told you how bad it is? So yeah, this is not a good time for T-Mobile. They filed its lawsuit, which was first reported by the Register today in the Supreme Court of the state of New York in August of 2025. The mobile company claimed that in 2023 it bought perpetual VMware licenses plus 2 years of support with the option to buy a third year. But after Broadcom bought VMware, it stopped sales of VMware perpetual licenses in favor of subscriptions and started bundling VMware products into a few more expensive bundles. And this is one of the big things to be thinking about. I've been talking about this for a while now with contracts in the technology world, right? People feel very secure when they have contracts in the technology world, right? I know my vendor is going to do X, Y, or Z because we have a contract. And you're like, well, I mean, you have a contract. You do have a contract. Contracts are useful for what they're useful for, but they definitely are not the written in stone thing a lot of the kids out there think they are. And so one of the problems you can run into is with mergers, with acquisitions, with any number of things. You can find out your contracts are not nearly as valuable as you think they are. So maybe you have a contract, right? We have a contract that for as long as VMware creates or whatever a specific product, that we have the right to buy a maintenance contracts for that particular product, right? So that's written in stone. As long as the company, is shipping this particular product, we are guaranteed the ability to purchase the support services, maybe even if the prices go up a little bit. But here's the thing, right? That's a product. And again, I talk about things of the name. Things of the name. What is the thing? Here's the interesting thing. Like if you're Broadcom, if you're one of these other companies, what if you take this product? This product has a name. This product is super cool virtualization software. And you're like, huh, Okay, well, we made this agreement and all that kind of stuff, and we're like, as long as we sell super cool virtualization software, we have all these legally binding agreements. Here's the thing. What if we modify a couple of configurations within super cool virtualization software? What if we update like the graphical user interface or whatever for it? And then we come out with a new product called amazingly cool virtualization software. And then we sunset super cool virtualization software. Well, you have a contract for super cool virtualization software. We stopped maintaining super cool virtualization software because we are now maintaining amazing virtualization software. Anyway, I'm getting too confused in my own thing. You get what I'm going with here, right? And so the thing is, this product costs 3 times as much as the last product, and the support services cost 5 times as much as the last product. Now we have an upgrade strategy for you. If you want to upgrade from super cool to amazingly cool, we have an upgrade process for you to go to. But you got to understand, we are no longer going to be supporting super cool anymore. Right? And that's the kind of like what does the contract actually say? That's why trust is so important in the technology world. That's one of the reasons that I bring up the lawsuit against Sam Altman by his sister. Right? Do you trust a man that's being accused of what he's being accused of by his sister? And then when you look at, his history in the corporate world, how much does that match? Like when you look at the personality type, you look at when you see Sam Altman, does that match what he's been accused of? Right? And why this is important, we talk about manipulation and everything else, is it's the spirit of the contract that is the most valuable thing generally, right? Because you can't write every situation into a contract. You can't make sure you're protected from every eventuality in a contract, right? If somebody decides to be stupid, it's amazing how worthless contracts become in the blink of an eye, right? You want the other party on the other side of the contract to try to be taking the honest route, right? The problem is because if the other side decides to do whatever, everything can kind of go to hell. And this is one of the reasons why I bring up the whole issue like with OpenAI. So OpenAI, right? We've heard this where Sam Altman has literally stated that it is a non-starter for OpenAI to IPO for less than $1 trillion. He cannot even consider OpenAI being valued at less than $1 trillion. Like that's the minimum. And then you look at what OpenAI is doing, and I'm a bit lost of where that $1 trillion valuation is. But the other thing to be thinking about, right? Sam Altman wants you to put his AI services at the core of your infrastructure. Wherever there is a decision-making process, he wants OpenAI to be embedded there. He has literally stated he wants intelligence services to be seen as a utility, the way that you buy electricity, the way you buy gas, the way you buy sewage, right? You'll buy this from the one vendor. So he wants you to embed his AI services into the core of your infrastructure. And you can see his own business environment being a complete and utter disaster. So the question becomes when he needs that $1 trillion valuation and what he's currently doing doesn't make a gosh darn bit of sense, how is, how is he going to put his thumb on the revenue scale to start making the valuation make a little bit more sense, right? And if you've embedded his AI services into everything that you do, it's really easy for him to say, we can no longer subsidize the AI services we're providing you. We're going to have to jack the price up by 2, 3, 4, 5, 25% or 25x. And this is a big concern to be thinking about. And the VMware, right? This is the example of the real world. Um, When T-Mobile tried to extend support for a third year for 5,288,000, blah, blah, Broadcom wouldn't allow it. Fucking T-Mobile went to Broadcom, said, here is $5 million. Broadcom's like, nah, we want more. Per an August 2025 filing from T-Mobile, a Broadcom representative reportedly told T-Mobile via email, quote, Broadcom announced end of available of all perpetual products, which includes stated out year renewals for perpetual support. A judge granted T-Mobile an injunction that allowed it to receive support services from October 2025 through August 3rd, 2026 for $5.28 million plus the posting of a $500,000 undertaking. So basically, T-Mobile had to pay Broadcom $6 million, and that was still forcing Broadcom to actually provide the services. Now T-Mobile seeks a declaration that it was entitled to renew support services and further relief as the court deems necessary. At one point, T-Mobile wanted support so badly that it offered $20 million for 2 years of software updates and support services. The company cited litigation costs and mitigating interruption and security risks to both the network and the business as part of its reasoning. Literally going to Broadcom, like, here is $20 million cash. And Broadcom's like, nah. So anyways, this is the real world of the technology industry. As I say, I've been laughing for about the past decade as all of these brand new technology professionals talk about passion and talk about caring and talk about family and team. And they've all just been looking at me as a not boomer, saying, you just don't understand, you not boomer. It's like, oh no, motherfuckers. I remember the days before 1% interest rates. I remember those days. We are back in those days. So be careful. This is a brutish, nasty, horrible profession with nasty, brutish, horrible people. So if you're expecting like a kumbaya moment, the big thing you have to understand in the technology world, every time I see kumbaya moments, I get scared. I'm like, no, this ain't good. No. Uh-oh, they're all smiling. Oh, they're all looking happy. Oh, this is gonna get real bad. Oh, it's just gonna get so bad. So what do you think about this? What do you think about T-Mobile begging for VMware support from Broadcom? What do you think about them putting $20 million on the table? And Broadcom's like, nah. And then think about this. Again, relating this to the AI world. Remember with OpenAI, they want this to be a utility. This is all running on their servers and their infrastructure. At least with the VMware stuff, it's actually running on T-Mobile's or Tesco's infrastructure, so they have some control over it. Imagine if you embed OpenAI into your systems, and then one day it just gets turned off. Foreshadowing. It's called foreshadowing. Just trying to explain to y'all how the world of technology actually works. So anyways, what do you think? What do you think about this with VMware and T-Mobile and Tesco and everybody else? What do you think about this, again, in comparison with the artificial intelligence fraud that is currently happening? Put your thoughts down in the comment section down below. If you like these videos, make sure do remember they're on Spotify and on Apple Podcasts. Link is down below. If you want to follow me on LinkedIn, there's a link down there too. With that, see y'all later.